Hello, and welcome to the podcast that discusses all things gaming. Coming to you from the home of Indie PopCon, Gen Con, and the gaming capital of the world, we are The Established Facts.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 212 of The Established Facts.
Yay!
Wow. And there was much rejoicing.
And pounding on tables.
Right? Yeah. Hey, what's up everybody? I hope you guys have had a good time up until now. We are really happy to be back with you guys on this episode 212. We have a very special episode for you. We are going to have some fun creating a villain. We're going to do a live creative venture, if you will, building a villain, mostly in the narrative, not so much as far as mechanically with any numbers or stats or anything like that, but something that you guys might enjoy plugging into your own game if it's applicable. So this to explain a little bit of the inspiration behind this, I'm in the process of doing said activity now for my homebrew campaign. And I just thought that considering most of us have had an opportunity to run games and we've all experienced playing against villains or possibly playing villains in certain games, this might be a really cool activity for us to put together something with a shared backstory and inspiration from all of our experiences. So before we get into that, let's go ahead and introduce everybody on the mics. In episode 212, we'll go ahead and start to my right.
I'm Lance.
I'm Avital.
And this is Josh.
This is Dr. Deb.
And, of course, this is your host, Big Don. So, like I said, we're going to get into some fun stuff when it comes to building our villain. Now, just to, I know for Lance's sake, this will help him a lot. And then for all of you out there who are kind of going along with us and maybe putting in some of your own ideas, which I definitely encourage you that if you decide to participate in this activity and come up with a different type of villain or maybe use some of these ideas as inspirations to build your own, definitely kind of show us what you guys come up with, and you know, we can maybe check out some of those things and maybe even feature them in some of our own games. That might be kind of neat. So kind of the idea, the outline that I had put together for our villain build is a discussion on the race of the villain, so we can discuss whether we want to play in different kind of fantasy themes or sci-fi themes or something like that, but talking about the different race of the villain, what class the villain might be, or what their occupation might be, the villain's strengths and weaknesses. Are they more of an intelligence, Lex Luthor-based villain? Are they a Bane-style villain where they're just strength and constitution, that sort of thing? And then does our villain have minions or followers or, cultists or something along those lines that help them to enact whatever their evil...
Accomplish their dastardly deeds.
Right, their evil plans. And then, of course, talking very adamantly about the evil plot or pursuit that villain might have. And then my favorite part of any character build is getting into the villain's background. So talking a little bit about backstory. Why did they become a villain, and who are some of the people that have influenced them to make the decisions that they have made? So we're going to talk a little bit about these things and build ourselves somebody fun. Maybe, again, if you want to follow along, maybe come up with your own answers for some of these questions. But we're going to just kind of move through and see what we come up with. Yes, Lance.
Can I ask a question of everybody at the table first?
Yes, you can.
I want to hear everyone's favorite villains.
Ooh, favorite villain.
Just to give us a kickstart.
Yeah, that's good.
Could be a
Just
game
flow in.
villain, could be a movie or a cartoon villain, could be any villain. Like, you come up with it. And you and the audience play along, too.
So, your favorite is 100% subjective to us, correct?
Yes, it is your individual. I'm not going to say you're right or wrong. Just your favorite villain.
I really think that one of my favorites, and the multiple versions, whether it be comic or TV or movie, I have loved the Riddler from the DC universe.
Okay.
And what do you like about the Riddler as your villain?
His intelligence is his biggest weapon. I know I've heard that, like, you can say the same thing about a Lex Luthor or whatever, but he's always trying to push Batman particularly
if we
to
kill
be
him,
smarter than him.
right? If we kill him, he won't learn nothing.
Okay. So Josh likes the Riddler. Avital?
So, I am partial. I don't usually pick like favorites, but I really like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe Hiddleston's Loki. Now, I didn't read comics as a kid, so like I don't know anything about him apart from what you see in the movies. And for me, obviously, at first glance, it's because it's Tom Hiddleston, and I'm like, oh, hey, look at him.
Hey, what's up?
But it's also because he's very morally gray. Like, it makes for a really interesting character because, you know, sometimes he's definitely the bad guy, and sometimes he's helping the heroes, sort of, maybe not exactly. So it just makes for a very interesting dynamic because you never exactly know what he's going to do, which, you know, for like trickster is appropriate. But I like him. I think he's really interesting.
Okay. Deb.
So I'm going to go to the Marvel Cinematic Universe too, but I'm actually going to pick Thanos, the Mad Titan. And I'm actually going to be specific for those of you who've seen the movies. If you have not seen the movies, spoiler alert, this is a spoiler alert. There's your spoiler alert. All right. I prefer the Thanos from Infinity War as opposed to Endgame because I feel like the Infinity War Thanos, as dark as the final solution for Thanos was, and yes, I use that term understanding it came from World War II, but it really was his final solution. But there was a purpose behind it. Like, it was intense, but there was a reason behind it. He was driven for personal reasons that no one could talk him out of, and they mattered to him. Like, it came from some personal scarring that he had experienced on his own home planet that was gone, and from that drove him in the direction that he went. So there was a purpose behind it, as dark and terrible as that purpose was. I didn't feel it as much in Endgame, or he went a different direction. They took him in Endgame, but Infinity War is my Thanos favorite.
Okay. Don.
I would have to say that my favorite villain, and I agree with Avital that it's really hard to select like an individual, but when I kind of thought about what really wraps around the idea of the best villain to me, it's definitely somebody who's similar to Mr. Gold or Rumpelstiltskin from the Once Upon a Time franchise, mainly because he is a guy who, similar to a Thanos or even a Loki, depending on the situation, he has things that he really wants in his life. He wants, eventually, you know, I mean, at one point he really wants to be loved. At one point he really wants to have his son. And his son and being connected with his son is something that kind of carries through for most of the Once Upon a Time series. So he has a clear goal in mind, and he does not care so much about the journey between where he is and how to accomplish that goal. If he has to step on people to do it, he's willing to. If he has to negotiate with people that would normally be his enemy, he's fine with that. If he has to do it himself and get blood on his hands, he's willing to deal with that kind of thing. And I think that what makes him so intriguing to me is that he is constantly in pursuit of things that the heroes are constantly receiving in their lives, and he's trying to go about it his way. And it's just this idea that and also, in the end, he has a very awesome redemption story, which I also love about a good villain is the fact that they're never fully gone. I was talking to Deb off the mics, and I said that I feel like the two best ways to resolve a villain storyline is you either give them an incredible redemption story arc, or you give them a fantastic and justified death. I feel like those are the two ways you deal with a villain. And
Which do you prefer? Glorious, maleficent death, or do you want to see them turned to good
when I'm really looking
with a
at
question
it,
mark at the end?
Right. When I'm really looking at it, I think the redemption story is the one that I prefer, but the justified death is definitely the Shakespearean, he really wasn't a good guy, and he really did get what he deserved in the end. Kind of like, and I think that, again, it's definitely subjective, but I think overall 51% of the time or more, it's going to be this person was never so far gone that they couldn't be redeemed. So, and that's kind of my preferred method, I guess, of storytelling that villain. So, Lance, what about you? Favorite villain?
It's not unknown to this audience that my superhero favorite is Superman, so it's not unsurprising. So that makes it is surprising. It's unsurprising that my greatest villain, the villain I point to, is Lex Luthor. The reason I point to Lex Luthor is not because he's this brilliant mind, and it's not that he makes all these cool things and he organizes an entire Legion of Doom to fight superheroes for old people like me. It's that he's kind of the reverse Tony Stark. In the Marvel Universe, Tony Stark started by making all these weapons and then had an epiphany and began doing things for the betterment of mankind. Lex Luthor, in the background of Lex Luthor, was doing all these great things for mankind on his way to becoming like the President of the United States and a really good, wholesome figure. Like, he wanted to take care of Metropolis and be its bright, shining light. And then along came this alien. And everyone started worshiping this alien. From another planet. And slowly that I'm the good guy, but and he starts turning towards, well, if I can't be the bright and shining light, I'm going to be the vile darkness.
Yeah.
And he starts manufacturing weapons and working underworld dealings, and that is what does it for me for Lex Luthor. It's that I can see the moment he became a villain, and all that he does is just so that he can say, look, you worship someone from out there when I'm right here.
Right.
It's the whole like friend zone thing from high school. Like, why do you like the bad boy? I'm the good guy and I'm right here.
We were just talking about the new Lex Luthor being Ducky from
exactly.
It's like, it comes full circle. Like,
so that moment of I can see exactly why you're a villain. And that, for me, is what makes a good villain. In all of your things, you can kind of see, Deb, you can see the moment he becomes a villain, and you can almost empathize with why.
Yes, and that was one of the hardest things about Infinity War, is I didn't want to empathize with Thanos. That is not who I wanted to be like. I kind of understand why. I don't want to understand why, but I do. I kind of get this, and I get this struggle, but I also understand at this point he's too far gone in the plan. Like, he's invested so much of himself and his life and his family into the plan that I'm like, there's nowhere to go but all in. And thus he's all in at this point in that part of the story.
I think the antithesis of Thanos is his adopted daughter Nebula. They go down a very similar journey, and one goes right and the other goes left.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really interesting because Nebula is constantly pursuing the attention that Gamora gets from Thanos. Yes. And that's why they're enemies. And then eventually she understands why this guy is not the one that she really needs recognition from. And then comes to terms with the fact that her sister has never really wanted to harm her,
Right.
but it was like, I don't want to die either, so I got to do. He's not going to kill you.
Right.
He's just going to rip your arm off and put a robot arm on there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's just very interesting how those two almost parallel storylines eventually veer off to such extreme degrees, right and left.
Because Nebula was a villain early in
Right.
the Marvel Cinematic, and then her story changed. So she does have a redemption story.
Yeah.
A really, really cool one. And I hope they continue. I hope she continues to play Nebula in future movies.
Full disclosure.
Yeah.
I have not seen Endgame.
You have not seen
Okay.
Endgame? Okay.
Spoilers.
Uh-huh.
I'll give you a 5-second countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2.
I don't know if I actually
One.
spoiled anything.
In the comics, Nebula is the one that takes the gauntlet off of Thanos.
Oh, nice.
See, that would have been cool in the movie too. I totally would have
That
been all
would've
right
been
with
cool.
that too.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, afterwards she becomes like a mindless husk of herself, but she does it.
Well, I mean, I didn't understand why, but I think it would have been cool if they would have done it in the movie, and then somehow Tony's like, "No, it has to be me," like because he and Nebula. Spoilers. There's a reason he would have done that. If you've seen Endgame, I think that would have been neat if that had been happening. But I mean, it was cool the way they did it. But that's neat. I did not know that.
Avital.
So just before we move on to the main meat of this episode, I just want to say that probably my most favorite redemption story for a villain is Vegeta from Dragon Ball.
I was thinking the same thing, like early, like literally before you
Dragon Ball
said
Z.
it's so
Loki.
good.
Yeah.
Like it's, and I haven't watched all of like Super yet. I've only seen bits of it, but we're going to be getting to that. But just from him, you know, at the very beginning when you first meet him and how uncaring he is, and he, you know, kills his own, you know, friend / companion, whatever.
Yeah.
Type thing, to like watching him be a caring husband and caring about his kids and everything is it's so good. And it's, of course, there's several years have passed. It's not like some immediate thing. There's a journey and a transformation. And I would say probably my second favorite is Zuko from
Oh my
Avatar: The
gosh.
Last Airbender.
Oh my gosh,
So
I forgot about that
good.
so much.
So good.
Yeah,
The first time I watched it, I was sitting there. I was like, please be good. Please be good.
Yeah,
Please be good.
very
because
much
he was
so.
such a good character.
Yeah.
So interesting. And again, you know, good motivations. And like, you can see why he was doing what he was doing, even though he was set against the heroes.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that it's, you know, specifically Zuko, I think my favorite part is that he has it's very similar. He has a very similar story to Nebula in that he's constantly trying to get the acclaim that he feels like he deserves as the son of the Fire Lord.
Yeah.
And yet the guy
Missing a lot
that
of
he
tropes.
the guy that
Lots of
he
tropes.
is the guy that he is along with next to each other for the entire journey of his life up until he meets the Avatar is his uncle Iroh, who, I'm sorry, Iroh is my favorite character from that
He's
series.
So good. He's such a
But it's that soft-spoken soothsayer, not soothsayer, soft-spoken sage in his life that is constantly trying to sew in a positive aspect because he has been so hurt. And then you finally see that and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, like so good. So I'm in 100% that same boat. That's so awesome. Oh my gosh.
So our villain needs to be someone intelligent,
Yep.
someone who has a morally gray area, who you want to cheer for, but you're also like really cool with them doing something not so good. So we need an anti-hero kind of villain. Someone that has a purpose and it makes sense. And their struggle is internally, not externally.
Yes.
Also needs to be played by Tom Hiddleston.
Okay, so you
Or
just
Josh. What's the guy who did Thanos? Josh something?
you
Roll-
just
roll.
described
Yeah, go on.
Batman.
yeah.
I'm not. And hear me out there because I got to point this out. Anyone who didn't know did not know Batman's reasoning, Bruce's reasoning for why he became the Batman. You just described Batman.
I described most heroes. One thing that's different is that they do their things for selfish reasons instead of selfless reasons.
Yep. Yep.
The difference
So
between
funny.
the good and evil spectrum on the D&D 9 column.
Yeah.
Selfish is evil. Selfless is good.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else is morally gray in between.
Interesting.
What we don't want
Uh-oh.
is someone who doesn't do their own thing. Someone who has nothing but disdain. Someone who really doesn't want to be helpful, just things got skewed. We don't want someone dumb.
Nope. Cannot be dumb. I think we've established that.
And we don't want them to be evil for evil's sake. We want them to have a reason. So what we
Yes.
don't want is Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he was just evil for evil's sake throughout the course of 9 films.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yup.
Sorry, another spoiler there.
I mean, he had a pursuit of power.
Yeah, but it wasn't
But-
enough. Like, if anybody, I mean, in my opinion,
Well, yeah.
there should have been more
There's
reason.
no there.
Right.
He's
Okay, power.
two-dimensional.
Power for what?
He's two-dimensional in
Because he's a Sith.
Empire.
Right. Yeah.
He gains a little bit of depth in Return of the Jedi.
A little bit. Yeah.
We go back and we do some retconning
Yeah.
in the first 3,
Right.
Yeah, as,
where he gets
as a senator.
kind of filled in.
Kinda.
And then towards the end, the last 20 minutes of, what is it? Revenge of the Sith? Is it Revenge of the Sith?
Revenge of the Sith is episode 3.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one I'm
Okay.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of, okay, now I'm no longer a senator. I'm the emperor.
Now
Yep.
I'm Palpatine.
Done. I'm the bad guy. And we
Yep.
see where he becomes two-dimensional.
Yeah. He should have kept his three-dimensionality in
spoilers.
that. Yeah.
He stays that way.
Yep,
Yeah.
and becomes Psycho Grandpa.
Seriously. You said spoilers. It's true. He became the grandpa that no one
So we
likes.
don't want evil for evil's sake just
Nope.
because I can be evil.
Yeah, the
Correct.
We
pursuit
want
of
someone
evil. Right.
working a mission that gets corrupted.
Yes.
I'm down.
What's our, or this may not matter, but what's our world? What's our time frame
Oh,
period?
theme, or
Do we want to go high fantasy, or do we want to do modern, or even sci-fi?
What would what
With
should
storyline stuff, I
Palpatine
can
should have
do
done?
any genre, any generation.
Absolutely.
yeah, that's true. I mean, we could
Can we
leave that
retcon
part,
Palpatine as to what he should have been?
We could leave that
As
part
we build the
ambiguous.
character, we
Yeah.
could see how things
All right.
come up.
Yeah.
I dig it.
So, let's just. So let's not. You know what? I know that I said like race and class and strengths and weaknesses and all this stuff, and like kind of had an outline. But let's eliminate race, because this is something that you should be able to plug into
No else.
any system.
you can
no
plug and
else.
chug any
Yeah,
of that.
drow. No.
I like Drow. No.
Right. I do too. Okay, so we're not going to focus on race, because I feel like this villain should and could be applicable to any system, and you don't want to limit necessarily the system. But we can always change that decision, because that's what we do here.
We
so
can
just change
totally
the
like
rules.
build them after we know their backstory.
Yeah, do we want to start there?
Totally.
Start on backstory?
Start at the beginning.
Start at the beginning. Oof.
It's a very good place to start.
Okay.
Which approach are we going to take? The yes and an add on, or
I mean, I'm down. That's my favorite way to do it in this format.
Okay.
We don't have dice, so we're just playing narrative games
Yes,
here.
and
So, I guess the question is, does this villain... Okay, rattle off some of the high points that you said that we want for... And I can kind of retcon a beginning, or at least like start seeding in questions on
You
how
want
we
to throw
want
in tropes as well, or just what we've already
what
stated?
we just stated.
Okay, so we need someone who is intelligent,
Yep.
who has a drive to reach a goal,
Okay.
who is morally gray,
Okay.
who has a purpose that we can all understand,
Yep.
and who really wants to help, except something got in the way and changed the motivation?
I mean, I literally just thought of a complete backstory myself, but I want this to be collaborative. So let's start out with, let's say that our villain comes from an aristocratic family,
Okay.
because I feel like that gives us a lot more. Yes.
Are we going to have a sinister villain or a redemptive villain?
Let's see how the backstory plays out, because I feel like
I trope different directions.
oh well, I don't care.
Table?
I mean, I really like redemptive.
Don says he likes redemptive.
Okay.
I don't dislike redemptive, unfortunately.
I guess this is our
Thanos.
versus topic.
There we go.
Redemptive or
sinister. Hey, we got a
Sinister.
versus topic in a weird time.
By sinister, I mean cannot
yeah,
be redeemed.
right, not
Will
redeemable,
have
right.
that death
Yeah.
ending
Yeah.
versus...
I like having the possibility of redemption.
Okay.
I'm fine with a redemptive storyline,
redemptive? Okay.
Okay. So we'll be a redemptive person.
but we
Yes.
gotta get it. We gotta get him there,
That gets rid
or
of
her.
terminal disease.
Him. Is it a him?
Yeah.
Is it a her? Are we gonna go gender neutral? Because we've been saying him.
I don't. Well, again, I
All right.
think
It's now a villainous
Okay.
for Deb.
No, I was just saying. I was like, we hadn't even decided, and it's already okay. It actually, I don't care. I was gonna say we try to figure out how to save Palpatine and turn him into a less than a 2D
Yeah. Right.
2D villain. What should the rest
Okay.
of his backstory be?
You know, Kevin Smith, when he did his recap of Rise of Skywalker, said something that I want to kind of stand behind. Is that I'm not here to rewrite what they already wrote. So let's do something new.
I was gonna rewrite it. I was
instead
gonna
of-
add
instead of-
something to it.
Instead
Yeah.
of telling somebody how they should have done something.
Yeah, I agree.
Alrighty.
Although that said, you just stop after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So this is not. I just wanted to say something that a friend was texting a friend, and I said that we're building a villain, and he runs a D&D game, and he said gnome business owners bought out by Walmart.
So
Wow.
trope wise, that takes care of inexhaustible resources.
There you go.
Probably betrayed by someone considered close.
Yep.
And
Probably. Yep.
That's great.
Anyways, I just thought that was really funny.
Love it.
I wanted
That's
to share that with everyone.
So awesome. I
We
love
have an
it.
aristocrat.
Yeah. I think it gives us a lot more freedom to play with kind
An
of
arist-
the fault.
So you're dealing with someone.
Educated,
Yes,
well educated, theoretically.
and
had the opportunity to be well educated, but may have shirked that education because I'm rich. I don't have to be educated.
But he's got to be smart. We already said that in the discussion. So
You can
naturally,
be smart.
exactly. That's what I wanted. Like street smarts.
Without being well educated.
No, it's absolutely true. I have a friend who's in that area.
Didn't necessarily care about being an aristocrat, and went out and ran around on the streets. And
More Bruce Wayne stuff.
they got street wise.
So here's my question then. Was he educated then as a child, and then as he grew in his age and experience, he realized that the education that he really wanted was not one that his parents could provide, and then
Yeah.
decided to go a different direction?
I like it.
Aristocratic cowboy.
I like it.
Kind of what I'm thinking. Something like that, sure. I was
to be a
thinking crime lord, but
cowboy.
cowboy
Okay,
works.
crime lord, yeah.
I like that.
I think a parent or both are missing.
See, I thought a
Either they're-
sibling.
Either
I
they're
thought a
out of the
sibling.
picture,
Yeah.
or he had to run away because they were themselves
This
villains.
just became a Disney.
See, I
villain.
thought
He just became a Disney
I
villain.
thought maybe like a younger of two
Most Disney
siblings
things have a missing parent. Come on,
yeah,
let's be honest.
absolutely. A younger of two siblings. The sibling, like maybe they. What was the? I kind of had a picture of what is it? Is it called Man in Black? What's the movie with
your
about
picture?
Johnny Cash?
Walk the line.
Walk the line.
Walk the
when
line.
when it talks about his brother in the very beginning, how his brother died in like a sawmill accident kind of thing.
Ah, okay.
Like that sort of thing, where it's like all of a sudden, your best friend and brother dies in a tragic accident that you are basically getting blamed for, and thus, even though you have to live this aristocratic lifestyle, eventually you want to get out of it because of the amount of abuse that you had to go through as a child.
So that goes with seeking approval.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seeking approval of a role model or parent.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
You want to go with that?
Yes,
Yes,
So
and
we've got
okay.
that one. And the parents are distant or gone.
I think distant.
Yeah, I would.
I think
agree.
because of that. Yeah, I think distant. Yeah,
The sibling is gone. The sibling's dead. Like Death 4 for you Pathfinder fans. Dying 4.
TPK on the bro.
It was a TPK on the brother.
It was a one-man party.
Yep, he was having a pity party.
That's it.
But the parents are alive but distant, is what I say.
Yeah. And because he's an aristocrat, they have to save face.
Yep.
So he's still there in the household, but they don't really have
Are you
anything.
listening, Harry?
That's right.
That's right.
Well, if he's under the closet, there we go.
Okay, so in an instance like this, and maybe I'm trying to be a little too psychologist here, the person in question would probably turn towards something to gain that approval. A lot of cases, it could manifest itself as a form of addiction. It could be, and it doesn't necessarily have to be drugs. It could be the crime lord you mentioned. It could be addicted to petty theft. It could be addicted to.
So one thing that I really love to do in my off time, and it has everything to do with my
It's petty theft.
yes, it has everything to do with my previous education
Now,
in
Dawn, we talked
larceny.
about
No,
this.
no. I love. I have a background in criminal justice and legal studies through my education, and one thing that I love to do is I love to watch documentaries on like crime syndicates and things like that. And one thing that I find very common amongst
just
people
family
who
business.
that's it. That's exactly it. That's what I was going to touch on is one thing that I find to be true of people who join gangs is that most of the time they find the approval through some sort of, illegal skill. They find the approval that they've always been looking for through the people who now need their skill.
So my dad doesn't want me, or my dad's not around. I'm looking for someone to fill that role. Hey, Joe Mobster over there is a pretty strong, tough guy, and he looked my way when I did this bad thing, and I got the approval I've been looking
Yes. Or this
And now
guy
I have a family
that's it.
that cares
That's
about me.
it. 100%. And maybe starting that pursuit as somebody who is involved with some sort of underworld thing, plots or even just the
For
pursuit
some reason,
of,
I can't get gambling ring out of my head.
Sure.
Like for some reason, he's a gambler.
Okay.
So if his
He's a Shylock.
a what?
He's a Shylock. Shylock, he'll loan you some money so you can gamble on the horses, but then when you don't pay,
They come
send
in,
someone to go.
break your
okay.
legs.
But he didn't get it started as a Shylock. He got it started because he was good at running numbers.
Yeah.
He or she.
This person, this
This
individual,
person.
Yeah.
this.
They.
No, I don't do they or
It's
that.
not two people. It's one person.
Right. So the villain
in front of us.
The
No, I got you.
villain.
The villain.
The villain.
Yes, the villain.
So if you want to go that way, they're a Shylock that
Okay.
had their origins in running numbers because that's what got them noticed.
Yep.
But we got to have a bigger plot. So I mean,
Sure.
that's a
Well,
start.
not yet.
But what's okay?
Because we're building the backstory. So
Okay.
now we have a Shylock who has joined up with a criminal family because they caught the eye of someone in said family.
So we're doing a kingpin underling. If you do the whole like
Well, at least to start. I mean,
Yeah.
But okay, so now that we have where they started in the ranks, if they become the big bag villain, they have to then go up
Because
in the ranks, right?
maybe also, kind of adding another thread to this backstory because they are educated. Because they have access to certain things that people who aren't educated or don't live in a high society aristocratic family, they're also being looked at as a utility. Like, we know that Jimmy Two Toes can get into where he gets in because he has a connection through his family. We have this other aristocratic family that owes us a lot of money, and we know that this guy can get in contact with them, kind of thing.
if you want to keep it morally gray, if he has to do something really bad, like someone owes a lot of money, and it's you got to go break this guy's legs.
You want to move up in the world, you got to show you got more
he
skills.
He reaches into his family's pockets.
Yeah.
That keeps him morally gray.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And maybe he pays somebody off to... Why am I talking like this? What's happening to me? Forget about
He
it.
either pays somebody off or he pays somebody else to do it.
That's what I'm saying. He pays somebody off to do it.
But if he has to do that and he's like, oh, but this guy has to take care of his family, so then he is stealing money from his family outside of the view of the mob and like not letting
I went and took care of it. He's
people.
paid up. I took care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't know that he didn't break his legs and get the money.
Right. Which also leaves just that ever slight crack of he's not the worst guy in the world, but he's definitely not a good guy.
Yeah, exactly. Because now that guy may not owe the family,
And
but
now
they
he
owe
owes
him.
That's it. And maybe that's how he starts
That
building
becomes a resource.
That's how he starts building
His own family.
on the sly. Man, I love this. I'm just saying, I just love doing this kind of stuff. All
Those of you
right.
listening, this is not a how to become a villain thing. Don't.
Yeah, we're not. This is not a we're not tutoring. We're not
Touting.
We're not teaching you on.
This isn't a master class of villainy.
Just imagine some guy at home with a notepad.
Okay.
Oh, this is good stuff. This is
Yeah,
good stuff.
right.
So this person's working their way up in the world.
Yes, while also building their own.
They have to be betrayed.
Sure.
And in the mob, it's not some stranger.
Oh yeah.
It's your best friend.
Oh, always.
Who figures out that he's been...
No, they send your best friend to take care of you. So they've found out that he's building his own rep.
Okay. Someone
Or
else
she-
has found
or
out
she.
but sends the best...
The villain.
But the kingpin of the family she was working with, they were working. No, that person was working with. We need to name the person.
We
finds out.
have all leaned towards this as a male figure thus far.
But the kingpin character sends our villain's best friend, because that's how it works, to take care of them.
Yep.
And the best friend agrees. So now they've been betrayed by their best friend, someone close to them, which is another step towards villainy.
Of course.
And maybe the reason behind the best friend deciding that there is, because I always love to add narrative and reason behind why the person would even do that, is maybe the two friends have been in it, they're hip deep in it together.
They
Then
came up
one
together.
of them, and then the villain,
That's classic.
and then the villain does something that his friend questions or really ticks him off, where he doesn't get an even cut, or something happens to where he feels betrayed, so then he goes to the family thinking that maybe if he can convince his friend through family means to get justice, and then the family then coerces him into taking care of the problem, and not only will he be rid of whatever intolerance he's just had with his best friend, our villain,
We'll
but
give you
he'll
his
also
gig.
move him
Yeah,
up.
we'll give you his gig.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where the betrayal
her gig.
comes from. Yeah. That's where the betrayal comes from, is that friend who decides, yeah, you know what? Eventually this is going to happen anyway, right? Eventually we're going to be rivals anyway, right? So why not just take care of it when I have the opportunity now?
Okay, but
And then that goes south.
obviously the best friend fails.
Right.
Is our villain saved by the first person he saved?
No, because that turns you towards being a hero.
Yeah.
Well, but he has to. Something has to save him. Could it be
I
just
think he
freak
saves
accident?
himself. I think he saves himself.
Okay.
Maybe the friend wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Or the friend hesitated at the last second, and
Yeah.
this person was, it's you or me,
Yep.
which takes you further down, because going from running numbers to taking a life is a drastic shift.
That's a big
in psychology.
shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big shift. Especially when you're talking about something as intimate. Like, I'm literally thinking a knife fight. When you're talking about something that's that intimate, especially with a friend, like, you're going to have to get close.
Their hands on a rock.
That's it.
And like, the best friend was sent to take care of them, But part of the reason why the best friend even is where they is because of our villain liked them and brought them up with them.
Right.
Yes.
And then
And this is basically this connection between the two of them is a replacement for his brother that he watched die. So like all of a sudden all of these connections are coming together that this is truly he's truly turned this into a replacement for his family and is really only using his family's money as an opportunity for him to grow his own business on the sly, and knows that the only way he's going to get out of this and make any sort of move forward to what he actually wants is to eventually cut his ties with the family. And he was hoping to do it with his best friend who's now here to kill him.
Okay. So we've got an intelligent person.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a person who has done some morally gray things.
Mm-hmm. Soon to do some morally black things.
We need... I think we just hit a little bit of internal struggle, but give me some more internal struggles.
Well, besides the fact that he may have just killed his best friend, that was his
absolutely.
brother.
Oh, he's definitely
Absolutely.
killing his best friend.
Just
Okay.
did that.
Okay.
Or she.
Which would have also... This is now the second time that his brother figure has gone down. Both the actual brother and the one replacing.
Now he can't trust his family because they've sent his brother / best friend to kill him. So now not only does he have to get, in my opinion, not only does he have to get revenge for them sending his best friend to kill him, but this is his opportunity to become the new made man.
yeah, and I feel
And so he's struggling with that. Sorry.
No, sorry. No, I feel like the mob family will, or he could spin it this way, whether the mob family thinks this or not, that like that the mob family knew that there was something happening from one of them, but did not know who, and so then he can just be like, no, I took him out, and he was the one that was doing this and this and this, and then
They just get blank information from maybe a third-party informant or something like that.
like
We're
that.
kind of building a green arrow right now. I'm trying to put this in perspective of comic books because
know
that's
Green Arrow,
that's kind of what I do. He was a newspaper guy, decided to become a villain to the villains, so we could find out like the news stories about what was going on with the villains. But at the same time, like started taking out members of the mob and becoming vigilante style, his own kind of mobster. Like he was known for taking out the mob. The mob thought he was a threat. The mob started sending things after him. He keeps going after the mob. The police are after them both.
Sure.
I was also leaning towards Punisher because the Punisher very much, I'm going to just kill all the bad guys, which is where we started heading. But I need them to be like the thing that tips them from the thing that makes Batman stay good. We need to not happen, so that this character matches Malone. If you know the Batman stories, stays bad. Matches Malone is Bruce Wayne's
Sure.
underworld mask.
Well, I mean, at this point, it depends. Or are we trying to go like he's already had two things that have pushed him against that he wanted by losing his brother and losing his best friend, and the selfish reason would come from this is I don't want to lose anyone else, or I'm not going to rely on anyone else. So anyone who
I think it should be, I don't want anyone to have this kind of power over me ever again.
Okay.
I feel like that's a deeper seated, like, it's not that I want to be the most powerful person in the world. It's that I never want someone else to think that they can take advantage of me like my father did and like my boss has.
That's a good thing. Let's bring the parent back in
Sure.
somehow. The parent that treated him like crap returns in some capacity. Kind of help me figure out how that happens. and is still disgusted with them. Look, I've done all these things. I did, you wanted the best, I'm the best. You wanted rich, I'm rich. You wanted power, I'm powerful. Why isn't that still good enough for you?
I feel like this is
How is the parent coming?
I feel like this is, first of all, and you guys might disagree with me, and that's fine. I feel like this is a father-son relationship. Because, not to say that it couldn't be a mother-daughter relationship or whatever, but I feel like the relationship that we're building, I find in my own, and I think this is really the best thing about building a character and in any shape or form, is being able to take elements of your own life and plugging it in so it's a lot more applicable. Mm-hmm. But I find that the disapproval that I might receive from my father would be a lot more impactful than from just about anybody else in my life. For me. And again, like I said, I don't know who might or might not agree, but I feel like in general, when I'm thinking about this character and this villain, he starts with ruining what could be his family's legacy by being a party to the death of his own brother. And legacy tends to be a fairly serious thing when it comes to an aristocratic father, and then now
he was supposed to be the prince. You were supposed to go to the
exactly that. And now I'm stuck here with you, and you don't appreciate anything we're doing. And the older he gets, it's like you're just a waste of life, And at this point, it's like not only
you start calling him like the son that lived instead of by his name.
Absolutely. Like, and I just feel like
this is my son that lived,
right? And I feel like there's such a maternal connection between a mom and their children that I find it an easier sell. I should say, not that it's an impossible sell. Yes, okay. I find it's an easier sell.
That was a long way to say you think you should be a boy.
Absolutely, I think it's an easier sell to say that it's probably. Well, I mean, I started out with saying it's a father-son.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I think it's an easier sell to say it makes a little more sense that it could be a father-son relationship.
Okay. So we're okay now.
To clarify, right? To clarify where we're at.
Pronouncing it out.
Yeah. 45 minutes later.
Yeah. Right. So, okay. So, what do we have, Lance, here on a summary so far?
Let's see. We've got someone with inexhaustible resources.
Mm-hmm.
We've got someone who had a distant parent who was constantly seeking their approval. We had someone who has actually taken a life. Then the distant parent came back and was still unapproving. They were also betrayed. He was also betrayed by someone he considered close.
Is the father a mob boss himself, possibly? Because now the son has gone behind and kind of made up his own mob family.
That's not unheard of in real stories.
I know.
It's also not heard. It's not also unheard of to be the complete opposite.
What, like he's a police commissioner or something?
Or somebody of renown, like you were saying, like a prince or somebody like that, where it was like, of some sort of like
actual royalty,
right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
of some sort.
Like even if it's just like the son of a duke or something like that, like this person holds some sort of real prominence in the governing of a state.
That would lead us to something else: torture in the name of your nation or religion.
Yeah,
because that tends to lead people towards the nation that was supposed to protect me, or the religion, the God that was supposed to be there for me, wasn't.
Yeah,
that leads to villainy. In a lot of stories.
And you could even spin it to say that, like, in that sense, perhaps the betrayal that he really has, outside of just his father treating him like poopy after his brother dies, the idea, or,
boom. Brother dies, right?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the heir.
Yeah.
This guy joins, like, the French Foreign Legion to get away, where he learns all of his fighting stuff, right?
Sure.
And then comes home and that's where the story starts off. Like, he and his brother went to war together. No, because his brother had to die first. And then he runs away. But that got me.
No, that's good, though.
He runs away to the military. Like, I'm going to serve my country and show you that I'm worthy. And he comes back and he's still not worthy.
And then begins
even
the
more.
fall.
Yeah.
Then he starts going into the underworld, using the
'cause
skills that he learned.
Fine, if I'm not worthy of being your son, if I'm not worthy of being a duke, then I'm going to go be. If you say I'm lower than your bootlaces, your boot,
So I'll go
then I
back.
am going to be.
And then after he spends all of that time, he finds out his father is about to die, and he actually kills his father.
Whoa, that got dark quickly.
I know that.
Holy cow.
But think about everything that just went down. I know it. It's just like, so they're smiling. Everything that you just described with I'm going off to war with my brother. My brother died, but you came back, but your brother didn't.
And you thought you were the most powerful person in my life, and now look at you, diseased and rotting away, and I get an opportunity
That's
to
the
take
end
your
of Braveheart.
final breath. What'd you
That's
say?
the end of Braveheart.
Really, really long
Oh, yeah,
time.
kind
I
of.
don't remember, but okay.
Kind
But what? But if this particular, this villain, this son, actually is the one that it'd be interesting. Like, is he putting him out of his misery, or is he?
No, I'm the last thing you're ever going to see.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely
I don't care that you're
vindictive.
dying.
It's definitely vindictive.
I'm going to take that choice away
Yep.
from you and God,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be the one that does it.
Yeah. And now that his blood family and his adopted family are basically nothing to him, and he's already built.
And his dad's gone, so all the resources are his.
Right.
Because there's no other heir.
Hey.
Oh, but where's mom? Well, I was going to say, do we know that both of the parents despised him, or was it just dad?
No, Mom was going to do whatever Dad said.
Okay, so mom was.
Because the aristocrat.
But if mom's still alive, does mom have any influence over son?
And then we get to cruel
Well, if
intentions.
mom is still alive and she
It was a stepmom because Disney.
Because it's Disney, it's always
Disney.
a stepmom. All right, well,
Except this time,
I'm
there's
just
a
wondering- that explains a
Well,
lot.
I mean, if she's so,
She's a witch, I hate her.
so if mom is still alive,
I'm just saying if. Now, maybe did mom
Yeah.
die while he was off at war?
well, that's what I was gonna say. Like,
Did
if-
mom try to reach out to him? Did mom try to, I can't go against your father, but I still love you. I still want you to be a part of the family.
That
The
has
little
potential
twitty.
to keep you heroic. Mom, being stepmom,
Well, it wouldn't be hero if he turned his
actually
back
is
on his
what
mom.
caused the death of the brother.
Mom killing a son. It's stepmom, right? We're in Disney.
Stepmom.
Okay, good. I was like, mom killing son. I'm a mom. I'm going to be
But
like,
whispered
what?
in the husband's ear that it was the
Step-
son.
Oh yeah, and this would happen before he goes to war.
Okay, that's
And
Batwoman.
then she
That's
planted the
Batwoman,
idea
is
of
what that
going
is.
to war. So she gets the first one killed, and then plants the idea that the second one should go off to war. So she's hoping he'll die.
The war will kill him.
Yeah, so we just made our villain, and she's the mom.
And she
No,
married,
she's stepmom. Poor mom died in childbirth with him.
yeah,
Okay.
she married somebody a lot
'Cause it's
older than
Disney,
her.
and that happens.
she wants the estate.
Yeah, she wants all of it
She
for
wants
herself.
the estate.
Yep.
So
Always
there's
does.
your
Did
impetus.
she come from a slum background, or was she also aristocratic?
I think it was an arranged thing.
So
It's
she was
more
also
of-
aristocratic?
Well, no, this is second wife,
about
so how
this?
would that be arranged?
So
First wife bit
Well,
the dust.
if he is of significant governing power, yes, Avital. Sorry,
Yeah.
So this is not that unheard of.
what has happened to us?
He is like low ranked nobility.
Sure.
But has a lot of money because he's good at business.
Mm-hmm.
And she is higher nobility,
Oh, there you go.
but
They're squandering
family
everything.
family
squandered
is-
their estate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
But here's the thing.
So they need some new money into their
Money
old
and
blood.
power. Money and
Hold
power.
on. But the son, if the son kills the dad, after all this is said and done,
Yeah, stepmom's still around.
do we still now are we dealing with the fight for control of the estate?
Yes.
And that's where this guy's story kind of kicks off.
Does our first villain's story keep going? Does he let people know, like, I'm going to kill my dad? And then he gets caught or he made just enough of an announcement of it, or she recorded it somehow, and now she gets away scot-free, being the Emperor type villain where she's just evil, and he now has
We just wrote our movie.
So, well,
See who's
what
in
if? What if?
That was the final scene.
copyright us.
What if?
Copyright the Established Facts 2020.
Exactly.
What if stepmom, again, being from a noble family that has squandered her money, is not going to inherit because the son is of age to inherit his father's estate, and yet she has blackmail of him, and she wanted the money anyway, so she doesn't really care that her husband is now dead, and so they come to an accord that she will not release that information if she is able to continue to be taken care of by the estate.
Okay.
And then they kind of become their own.
So villains work together until they get what they want.
That's
and then they have to fight
exactly
over
right.
the thing.
Yes.
This
Which
is
I-
why evil parties are so awesome during the story.
When you can find the common enemy.
Yes.
Yes.
Then, once the story is
Yeah.
over, then they start backstabbing, and that becomes less fun.
Right. And I think that, in all honesty, that's where you start your story. Because
What
to
story?
me,
Because now at this point you've got two villains that have come to an accord.
yeah.
They're gonna supposedly an accord. It's obviously
Yeah.
not an accord. So what? So
And
then
this
what's
is
his story?
this is the story of the butler and the housemaids that take over the house.
What? No.
That-
So
Beauty
we're,
and the Beast?
We're building.
Yeah.
We're building a villain. So the story starts. This is the point where our heroes come into the story and have to deal with this villain.
Why would a
Maybe
hero
the
deal with a
villain-
villain?
Kind
Maybe
of working together.
maybe the villain.
I'm not sure why I would
that's
go
a-
after
but
the
that's a
villain.
whole other
I have an
conversation.
idea. Maybe the villain
I mean, that's
is just so darn dashing and charismatic that he asks the heroes to help him with alleviating the pressure of his stepmother. She's an evil, tyrannical woman. And I'm willing to do what I can to help your party to eliminate this evil off of this earth.
Okay.
There you go.
Patsy. You got a
Here's
Patsy.
your hook.
You got it.
I do think though that I don't want us to go too far into that because that's I think a conversation for a next time.
No, I agree. Debbie doesn't
I know.
because she's still stuck on it.
No, it's not that I'm stuck on it. I'm not really sure why. There's nothing yet in the story that's got my attention to say, you got a point. Because so far he's just been, you're just a jerk who your dad didn't like, but you
Remember
killed your dad, so or whatever.
the heroes
Like, I don't
would
care.
know
I'm
you
getting
Think about the fact that like he's, running like a mob game, helping
Right.
run like a mob game. Like
He's still
you didn't,
bad guy.
like, get rid of that. Like
Yeah.
that's still
No, I
there.
know.
He's still doing bad
so
things.
what's the good? What's the possible good thing that has now been twisted? But it could be like with Thanos, it was I want to save the half, but I want to use it. But I want to kill the other half, but I want to save the half.
Oh,
like
I
there's
see.
something noble
what's the
there that
point-
got twisted.
What's the point of the redemption story? Because this guy seems like
He's a jerk from the beginning, sort of. I mean, okay, yeah, dad was a jerk, but he's killed dad now. So, all right. Stepmom was a jerk, but the heroes are going to be hired to off the stepmom. Like, I'm still not sympathetic to him. There's the word.
the word.
I'm not sympathetic yet to him. Lex Luthor, I'm sympathetic to. He was trying to do the right thing before this crazy Kryptonian showed up. Thanos, I'm trying to
Deb?
save the half the universe. Now I'm going to off the other half, but I'm trying
Doggone
to
it.
save you half.
Deb, what's our thread?
I'm sympathetic because he is going to use the money that he's using in his shady dealings, of which he has many. He actually uses it to start an orphanage. But he keeps that on the low because that would not be good for all of his bad guy friends to know that he's doing something like good. That's not, no.
Why is
And
he?
the hero comes out of the orphanage.
Yeah.
But
why did
the
he-
rest of the orphanage are like
Trainees
underlings and villains.
orphans?
The Apocalypse story. Apocalypse
Okay.
has
All right.
Barda
Yeah.
and all the kids there go to the schools to learn how to be evil and serve Apocalypse. But one kid, scot-free, gets away. and he becomes the hero.
And yet he's trying to help. He's trying to help those who don't have their family, or their family abandoned them, or their family did that. He's trying to help, but it is twisted and it's not right.
He's also using it to the advantage of growing his own
Army.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay.
Okay. I like that.
He's doing. I said orphanage. I don't know if that's quite it. I said he's using his money for something that with some good intention in there.
He builds a school.
Maybe he's funding
School?
gifted
maybe?
youngsters.
Oh
my
Lord,
God.
help us,
Maybe he's funding
Patrick
an orphanage.
Stewart.
No,
where are
hey,
you?
No,
Okay.
Magneto.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
Magneto. I sympathize with Magneto too. Okay,
Because
yes.
Yeah, but
he had a
Magneto-
crappy background.
Yeah.
And he was doing it like no mutant will ever be treated like this. No
Yeah.
Right.
family will ever be treated
Right.
like this.
Exactly.
Nobody will ever be treated like my father treated me.
Right, or that they've treated me because of my ability. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Don't do it. Don't mic it. Don't drop it.
He wants to drop the mic. Anyway. Okay.
Metaphorically dropped it.
Yes. Okay.
I dig it. So Magneto. We've created Magneto.
Did we just create Magneto?
We've created a lot.
Oh, I know.
of
No, that's a lot of
Disney
good
and Marvel,
stuff.
which are now the same thing.
That's true.
That's a lot of good stuff. Okay, well, I hope you guys had fun with this. Goodness gracious,
We did, so
that's right.
what
Is that all that matters?
Please share with
Sorry.
us if you guys kind of went through our steps, and maybe
tell us
if you
your
guys
own
have.
villain story.
Well, that's what I was going to
Yeah,
say.
what's the
Maybe if you
story?
guys
Your
have
villains.
different villain stories or
on any of our social
ideas. That's right. That's right. Oh man. That was a lot.
It was.
That was a lot. And it went faster than I expected because I think we could probably add on another hour or two of dialogue when it comes to building that narrative.
about this, but
All right. So, in episode 211, we established that TPKs can be avoided as long as Will Smith's on your side. Because we all know when you're fighting illithid alien monsters, you need Will Smith.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how that goes down. That's right. And then for episode 212, we have established that's why the greatest villain is Batman.
Batman.
That's it. All right. We want to thank you guys so much for joining us on episode 212 of The Established Facts. And we will.
Flashpoint.
Thomas Wayne.
Oh, my God. And we will check you later.
Bye.
Deuces.
Please visit us at www.theestablishedfacts.com and our Facebook page, facebook.com/theestablishedfacts. If you would like to support us by buying some merchandise, visit cathaypress.com/castingrobot.
Bonus